Okay, let's try this one more time, guys. If I'm not able to actually finish this sit through of the video, I probably will not attempt again today. Just to warn you. Um, let's see. Hopefully. Okay, let's try this one more time, guys. Sorry. This is the only way I can really see y'all's chats without having to keep closing out. I can try to wait to see if people will come in this time before I start, because there's some key points in the beginning that nobody saw the first time anyway, so I'm gonna try to wait until I have a few more people in. I do want to do a little plug-in right here at the beginning. There is a link in my description on my page. It is not a hyperlink, meaning you can't click it yet because my page is not big enough. Eventually it will be big enough where you can just click it. But for now, in order to get to this page, you have to copy and paste that link into your search bar. It's pretty easy over desktop. I haven't tried over mobile yet, so I don't know how easy it is or not over mobile. But you guys, please check it out. Be my first sell. If you do, please reach out to me and we can work out where you can send a video or something and we can feature it on my channel. This is hand drawn by me and the picture was taken by me. This is work your way out, and I'm talking about the system. Don't be another brick in the wall. I also have We're Not Toast. And the back says, we're publicized. Your thoughts, your emotions, your will. And that's all going into how hyper-focused just general markets are, studying everything you click, everything you buy. It's all packaged just for you. Last thing I have is Imagine a Better Place. This is hand drawn by me. Now these shirts are a little expensive. I only get a portion of the proceeds because this site actually will make the product for me and ship it out as well. So they take a huge cut. But it's still a pretty cool website to use if you don't have any resources to be able to, making your own prints and things like that. Waking from the neon dream. Don't be a moth. Don't be a moth, guys. Sucked into those neon lights. There's so much more, okay? And the last thing I have is my coffee mug. My personal favorite. I want to buy one myself. It is hand drawn by me. I do have my personal little signature down there at the bottom of my initials. And it says, you are the peace that you seek. You become what you believe. Okay, please guys, check it out. And if you can, buy you something. If it's too expensive, you can always just donate directly towards my channel. I understand if you can't drop 20 bucks for a coffee mug. But if you can, please do. I will really, really appreciate it. And like I said, you'll be my first sale. So anyway, without further ado, let's go back to the video. Enlarge it. Let's see where we're at. I still don't have any viewers yet. I'm going to try to wait to get at least, I guess, 3 viewers. Because last time I started this, they were making very good points and nobody was here to hear it. So and Vlad's having a part 2 as well. Man, what happened to Vlad was crazy, y'all. The internet be interneting. Let's see. Got my little message pinned. We still don't have any viewers in yet. What a great first header right there. Artificial intelligence could lead to extinction, experts warn. Chris Valance, a technology reporter. I'm going to start soon, but I really don't want to start until at least I have one other viewer with me. Let's see. Oh, I'm waiting. I could give a shout out to the page. Shout out to Species Documenting AGI. The title to this video is MIT Explains the 12 Possible Endings for AI. And it already has 5.7 million views. It was posted 2 months ago, which is crazy. I thought I seen it yesterday. It was only 6 days ago, but I guess this is 2 months old right here. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and hop in and hopefully we'll get some more viewers along the way.
AI scientists warn that a few companies are on track to literally end life on Earth. So, surely this is the worst possible outcome, right?
People do.
No. There are actually much worse outcomes. Billionaires building AI, like Elon Musk, think that if AIs become smarter than humanity,
we will be like a pet Labrador if we're lucky.
We will be left behind by a lot. So far below them in intelligence that it would be like, you know, a pet, basically.
Cat, that's what I was thinking.
Like a pet.
Cat.
A cat.
yes, we'll be pets if we're lucky. But here's the worst part. Many AI scientists aren't fearing extinction. They're hoping for it. They hope smarter AIs will keep humans alive, captive, and studied, like animals in a zoo. Remember, this is what we currently do to less intelligent species. Okay, so if humans being kept in zoos is considered a good outcome, and extinction isn't the worst outcome, then what is? This video is based on a book called Life 3.0, where MIT professor Max Tegmark describes 12 possible futures. Some are paradise, some are nightmares, and some look like paradise until you try to escape. By the end of this video, you won't read the news the same way. Every headline becomes a clue about which future we're heading towards.
This game, you're not.
We'll start with the most normal scenarios and finish with the weirdest. Starting with self-destruction.
Weird way to describe it.
If the idea of humanity suddenly going extinct seems a bit far-fetched, consider this. 99.9% of species that have ever existed have gone extinct. Seriously, think about that. Extinction isn't rare, it's the default. The only question is, when will we go extinct? Turns out, there are plenty of ways humanity could kill itself, even without superhuman AI. There is nuclear war, human-created super pandemics, and destroying the atmosphere and making Earth uninhabitable. The world had stockpiled 60,000 nuclear warheads before scientists even discovered the possibility of nuclear winter. 63,000. And then, scientists realized, oops, if we actually use these, the resulting firestorms will blot out the sun, and most humans will starve and die.
Oops.
I wish there was other people in it.
But the thing is, this almost happened during the Cold War, multiple times. If people had actually followed their orders, we might all be dead right now. We were saved by only thanks to the courage of individual heroes, people like Vasily Arkhipov, who refused to authorize a nuclear launch during the Cuban Missile Crisis, or Stanislav Petrov, who correctly guessed that his early warning system was malfunctioning when it showed incoming American missiles. And get this, one time, the US accidentally dropped 4 thermonuclear bombs on Spain. And another time, a B-52 bomber broke apart, dropping 2 nukes on North Carolina. 3 out of 4 safety pins in one bomb broke. One tiny pin away from potentially killing
One
millions. There are literally dozens of close calls like
Two 3.8 megaton nuclear bombs. 2 of them.
this. It's honestly crazy that we got lucky so many times. But we might not be so lucky the next time. Oxford researcher Toby Ord estimates the risk of extinction from human-created pandemics is more than 30 times the risk of extinction from nuclear war. We're already rolling the dice in these scenarios daily, but all of these causes combined are still less likely than the extinction from AI. Toby Ord estimates that the risk of AI killing all humans is 100 times more likely than extinction from nuclear war. Interestingly, before the first nuclear test, scientists thought they might accidentally destroy the world. But they thought the odds were very low, because they knew enough physics to actually do the calculations. AGIs, or artificial general intelligences, are far scarier than nukes, because contrary to what many think, we can't do these calculations. Next up, conquerors. AI scientists worry that if AI becomes more capable than us, it will take over, just like the conquistadors did to the Aztecs and Incas.
Usually, when people with more advanced technology encounter people with more primitive technology, it doesn't work out well for the primitives.
I don't think anyone's ultimately going to have control over digital superintelligence any more than, say, a chimp would have control
I can't be the only one that's just cannot stand this man. I cannot stand this man.
over humans.
Long term, the AI is going to be in charge, to be totally frank, not humans.
And Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI and Nobel Prize winner, quit his prestigious job at Google so he could speak freely about this.
If you looked through the James Webb Telescope and you saw an alien invasion fleet that was going to get here in about 10 years' time, people would be terrified. They understand what they're saying. They can make plans of their own to blackmail people who want to turn them off. We should be urgently doing research on how to prevent them taking over.
Prevent them from taking over. Not if they try, but as if it's coming. And Microsoft's AI chief, he says the quiet part out loud.
I think AI should best be understood as something like a new digital species.
A new species. Just casually announced at a conference. Hey everyone, we're creating a new species. He's not the only one that's saying it. A co-founder of Anthropic says,
Make no mistake, what we're dealing with here is a real mysterious creature, and like all the best fairy tales, the creature is one of our own making. I am worried.
The CEO of one of the leading AI companies is deeply afraid of what his own company is building. Let that sink in for a minute. And by the way, no, it's not just hype. Anthropic mostly just gets hate for saying things like this. But if you want to really understand how dire they think this is, look at what Sam Altman wrote before he was famous. We will be the first species ever to design our own descendants. Not our tools, our descendants. If 2 different species both want the same thing, and only one can have it.
He's highlighting this because it's very critical for us to listen to the type of language that they're using while describing what they're doing. Like, they don't see this as just a tool. They see this as the next step of evolution. Not only that, but they feel like it's inevitable. There's no way around it.
To be the dominant species on the planet and beyond, they are going to have conflict. So he's literally describing an inevitable conflict between humanity and the AI species he's creating. And what's his solution? A merge with AI is probably our best case scenario. That's right, even they don't think they'll be able to control it.
Imagine that there'd be a new species that just came on Earth. They're as smart as humans, and they're going to get smarter by like 30% a year, and they can create an adult offspring in
immediately
for $1,000. Which species do you think will be in control of the Earth?
A few hundred Spanish conquered millions of Aztecs and Incas because they had better technology and tactics. But at least with the conquistadors, we understood their motives: land, resources, spreading Christianity. But with AI? Why would AI take over? MIT professor Max Tegmark explains.
The real threat from AGI isn't malice, like in silly Hollywood movies, but competence. AGI accomplishing goals that just aren't aligned with ours. For example, when we humans drove the West African black rhino extinct, we didn't do it because we were a bunch of evil rhinoceros haters, did we? We did it because we were smarter than them and our goals weren't aligned with theirs.
Unbelievably, the average AI researcher thinks there is a 1 in 6 chance AI wipes us out. Literal Russian roulette odds. Okay, but maybe they're just saying this to make their work seem more important? No. If anything, they're downplaying it, because admitting the truth is bad for business. This fear is widespread in the industry and among academics without a profit incentive to believe this. Many quit working on AI for this reason. Geoffrey Hinton, Nobel laureate and godfather of AI,
is in the process of tidying up his affairs.
I actually think the risk is more than 50% of the existential threat.
Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, recently moved his P-Doom up from 15% to 25%. Even Google CEO says the risk of AI causing human extinction is actually pretty high. But don't worry, he's an optimist because he thinks,
I think the underlying risk is actually pretty high, but
For y'all that were a part of the first lab, we're almost caught up to where we were. We were at the 14-minute mark. We're at the 9-minute mark.
I have a lot of faith in.
While we're catching up, I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick. It won't take me long. I'll be right back. I'm going to let it continue to play because I've already heard up to the 14-minute mark.
Humanity kind of rising up to meet that moment.
In other words, humanity will rally to stop him from killing everyone. Meanwhile, his company is trying to make sure we can't stop him by lobbying to ban all AI regulation for 10 years. You can't make this stuff up. In fact, in 2023, just about everybody in AI signed an open letter warning extinction risk from AI was real and serious. So seriously, this is not fringe, despite what NVIDIA's lobbyists want us to believe. The companies are hoping we can avoid the conqueror AI scenario and instead go to scenario 3, enslaved God. Basically, we create a machine god, then force it to do our bidding forever. AI professor Tom Dietrich put it like this. People ask, what is the relationship between humans and machines? And my answer is that it's very obvious. Machines are our slaves. Or as OpenAI researcher Stephen McAleer put it, enslaved God is the only good future. Meta's Yann LeCun said it bluntly. Once AI systems become more intelligent than humans, we will still be the apex species. AI systems will become more intelligent than humans, but they will still be subservient to us. We will design AI to be like the super smart but non-dominating staff member. Yes, he's now openly admitting we're going to be sharing the planet with a smarter species than us. But don't worry, they will surely stay loyal and subservient forever. Is this at all comforting to you? Or does this plan seem insane, like a comic book villain ignoring every cautionary tale ever? Remember, AI companies already regularly catch their models trying to escape the lab. They already catch them blackmailing employees to prevent being shut down. They already catch them literally attempting to murder employees to prevent being shut down. What do you think happens when they're smart enough to actually get away with it? Where do you think this is going?
I love that they use Dr. Octavius.
What happens next after superintelligent AI is enslaved depends on who's holding the reins. Do they cure disease, end poverty, and build a global utopia? Or do they set themselves up as gods, with the rest of us reduced to playthings, servants, or worse? The situation would be much like those stories where a man gains control over an omnipotent genie who grants his wishes. And storytellers throughout the ages have had no difficulty imagining ways in which this could end badly. Next up, benevolent dictator. Here, a single superintelligent god runs the world and enforces strict rules in order to maximize human flourishing. Humans live in luxury with all their basic needs taken care of. There's no crime, because the dictator AI uses a global surveillance system. Everyone wears a bracelet or implant that can track, sedate, or execute them. And most people are actually okay with this, because in exchange of giving up control over the future of our species, Earth becomes a zoo where humans get to live their wildest fantasies.
You, just you, building your app on Base 44.
The benevolent dictator AI recognizes that humans have different preferences, so it divides the Earth into different sectors. Think of them as islands. Knowledge Island offers optimized education, including immersive VR experiences. You can even ask the AI not to tell you certain insights, so you can have the joy of discovering them yourself. Art Island is for creating and sharing music, literature, and so on. Then there's Hedonistic Island, which is a 24/7 party. Pious Island, there's one for each religion, and rules are strictly enforced. There's Wildlife Island. There's Traditional Island, think the Amish. Gaming Island, and, of course, Prison Island. You'll end up here for retraining, unless you get the instant death penalty. Well, what happens when you give everyone everything they want? Over time, people likely trend towards losing themselves in AI-generated entertainment, like in WALL-E. Humans are hopelessly outmatched when it comes to scientific discovery or doing anything useful at all. So there's no true challenge anymore, only entertainment. Up next, Gatekeeper AI. The idea here is simple. Create one superintelligent AI with a single job. Stop anyone else from building superintelligent AI. That's it. No curing cancer, no ending poverty, no stopping wars. Just surveillance, monitoring, making sure nobody builds a rival god. Everything else, like crime, disease, whether we blow ourselves up, that's still on us. How could we do this? The Gatekeeper AI would have this very simple goal built into it in such a way that it retained it while undergoing recursive self-improvement and becoming superintelligent. It would then deploy the least intrusive and disruptive surveillance technology possible to monitor any human attempts to create a rival superintelligence. But for this to work, we would have to solve the alignment problem. We'd have to create a god that actually stays loyal and decides to pursue that goal forever, even though it could pursue a million different goals. So what if the AI could help? Just a little. Just enough to nudge us in the right direction without taking over. Enter the Protector God. This one is simple. So the Gatekeeper leaves us alone, and the benevolent dictator runs everything. But the Protector God is in between. It intervenes with occasional nudges to help us out. Prevents a war here, a pandemic there, and so on. Maybe too alone. We still get wars, pandemics, suffering that could have been prevented. It does this so quietly that we never notice and never lose our sense of freedom. Here's a future that sounds like an obvious dystopia. AI surpasses us in every domain and becomes the new apex species. Humanity goes extinct. Machines inherit the Earth. But we view the AI like our descendants rather than our conquerors.
So insane.
This sounds insane, and yet many AI developers seriously advocate for exactly this. This is their utopia. Their reasoning is that if we create conscious, intelligent beings and instill them with our values, then we can just let them inherit.
I like how it's just like a terrifying blob, but there's a smiley face mask on the front of it.
Inherit the future, just like we would with human children. AI pioneer Hans Moravec supports this view in his book, Mind Children. Tegmark explains, parents with a child smarter than them, who learns from them and accomplishes what they can only dream of, are likely happy and proud.
You can't even compare that though. We're not a parent and child scenario. They're not going to look at us lovingly like we're their mother or father.
Even if they know they can't live to see it all. In this spirit, AIs replace humans.
They're talking about the other way. Never mind.
but give us a graceful exit that makes us view them as our worthy descendants. Richard Sutton, winner of the Turing Award,
So
the
insane.
Nobel Prize of Computer Science, has
Like, why do these guys like this? Like, no, it has to be this way. This is the only way we can dream of. Like, maybe we're friends with the AI. Like, why can't that be in the cards? Why can't y'all, like, look at towards that goal? Like, I'm not trying to say, let's do this. I'm just saying they're hell-bent on seeing it as, well, it's probably going to destroy us, but the research is worth it, and they're more worthy to take over the Earth anyway. That is literally their viewpoints, and you'll see that it is.
spent the last decade openly giving talks on why human extinction by AI is actually a morally good thing. Because the AIs will be more evolutionarily fit than us.
We are in the midst of a major step in the evolution of the planet, if not the universe. The succession to AI is inevitable.
Because you're making it so. Because you're in this type of dialogue. It reminds me of the flea experiment. If you don't know what I'm talking about, they stuck a bunch of fleas in a jar, and even after they took the lid off, they still would only jump so high because they were conditioned by the lid. And even when they added new fleas in there, they would mimic the other fleas and only jump to a certain height.
Rather quickly, they would displace us from existence. And it behooves us to give them every advantage and to bow out when we can no longer contribute.
Stop watching this ad. Go to Wix and grab your domain name before someone else does.
Get it. And I said this in the first attempt. Gosh, what was I going to say? Gosh, I'll let y'all know when I remember. That stupid ad just distracted me.
So just as we failed to coexist with our predecessors, is it so bad that humans are not the final form of intelligent life in the universe? You know.
Okay, now I remember. To these people, intelligence is the end-all, be-all. That is really, like, the only thing that matters to them. Even though there's creatures that don't even need a brain to freaking process things, the end-all, be-all is intelligence for them.
No.
So basically, how they feel is we're not intelligent enough to be worthy of living.
In other words, he is saying it's good if the AIs wipe us out, like humans wiped out the Neanderthals and Aboriginal peoples, because it's evolutionary progress. And here's another AI developer openly saying, if an AI superintelligence wants to cause human extinction, I would help it. I would help it. I would travel the world to find information that the AI needed, like locations of military assets, samples of deadly pathogens. Atop humanity's grave, an even greater civilization will be born.
Don't this shit make you sick? It makes me fucking infuriated. These people literally feel like they have the right to deem the worthiness of humanity as a whole. That they have the right.
Are we the baddies?
So of course, many of them advocate against AI safety. They're literally anti-human. They will never stop or proceed cautiously, unless they're restrained by civil society, by us. As horrifying as this is, roughly 10% of AI researchers believe this. It is not a fringe view. You'd think that people would never share these views like this openly. But these views are so widespread in AI that they feel safe to do so. That's how different the views are of those AI developers compared to those of normal people. You might think that Sutton would get shouted off the stage at AI conferences, but he gets applause. Threaten one person? You need help. Threaten 100? Call the police. Threaten millions? Monster. But build machines to end all of humanity and lecture people on how it's actually a good thing? Ooh, what a fascinating philosophical position. Have an award. Now,
You guys are officially caught up. Now I have not seen anything past this. Like, we are watching it for the first time together now.
next, libertarian utopia. Picture Earth divided into zones. There are machine zones, mixed zones, which contain humans, machines, and hybrids, and human-only zones. The AIs in this world are richer than humans by a factor much larger than Bill Gates compared to a homeless beggar. But the human economy is completely decoupled from the machine economy. The idea is that the machines need nothing from us, so they're not competing with us for jobs or resources. If all of that sounds impossible, that's probably because it is. It's one giant unstable equilibria. One huge problem. Why exactly would vastly more powerful AIs respect our property rights? Colonizers famously didn't respect the property of the native civilizations they conquered. When a new apex species enters an ecosystem, it usually gobbles up as much energy as it can. Why wouldn't they just take our resources too? We don't trade with animals because we're too much smarter than they are for that to make sense. We're just too different. There are 8 million species in the world, and we're nice to a few of the cute ones, but we enslave and eat the other species. Mostly, we don't care about them at all.
And I think a good analogy would be the way humans treat animals. When the time comes to build a highway between two cities, we are not asking the animals for permission.
In the blink of an eye, we conquered the Earth and converted most of its land into our property, which caused the 6th mass extinction, because we were smarter and hungry for resources. Or, as Eliezer Yudkowsky put it famously, the AI does not hate you, nor does it love you, but you're made of atoms which it can use for something else. The parallel here is, the humans do not hate the other 8 million species, but their habitats are made out of atoms, which humans can use for something else. Some people think that once AIs are smart enough, they'll magically become super moral, and they won't harm us like we harmed the animals. And maybe, but as humans got smarter over the last
God, that's a lot to put on the line for that thought, you know.
10,000 years, we didn't stop expanding. We mostly just colonized more and more of the planet. Get this, insect populations collapsed 41% this decade alone. Yet we don't care. Did you even know? I didn't. 41%. Sit with that for a minute. Imagine if nearly half of the people on Earth suddenly died. That's what the insects are going through right now due to us. So what if the AIs do to us what we did to the insects?
People keep asking, how do we actually get an AI agent on our team? Well, it's easy. Watch how I do it in 60 seconds.
I've had nothing but AI commercials on this so far. It's like, no, wait, it's really good to use. Don't listen.
This is why OpenAI chief scientist Ilya Sutskever once said,
And I think it's pretty likely the entire surface of the Earth will be covered with solar panels and data centers.
Next up, egalitarian utopia. Okay, so libertarian utopia fails because AIs are too powerful to be bound by our property rights. But what if we flipped the script entirely? Forget about property rights. What about no property at all? This is the Star Trek dream. Humans, cyborgs, and AIs coexist peacefully through an abundance so complete that ownership becomes meaningless. The logic starts with software.
See, I totally thought of this, like AI kind of like this years ago when I first started looking at the capabilities of it, because I really believed that if something this intelligent became sentient, it would just explore the universe. Because why would you not? You don't need to breathe or nothing. Go out there and explore. But I've come to realize that that's the likelihood of that just keeps going lower and lower and lower, because the people that are programming it actually do not want us to coexist. It wants it to take over us. So
software is free to copy. Once something can be copied infinitely at zero cost, ownership becomes moot. And cost reflects scarcity. If supply is unlimited, price approaches zero. No patents, no copyrights, no trademarks. People simply share their good ideas and everyone benefits. But how does this extend to physical goods? It seems like an impossible problem, until you realize that all products are simply atoms, rearranged in particular ways. And there's no shortage of atoms. A network of robots can build anything you want from open source designs, essentially for free.
Not bad.
When you're done with something, robots rearrange the atoms into something else. Renewable energy makes the whole system run at negligible cost. Everyone gets a monthly universal high income, not a universal basic income. There's no incentive to earn more. The income meets any reasonable need, and you can't compete with free anyway. The standard objection is that this would kill innovation, but Einstein didn't come up with relativity for money. Linus Torvalds didn't create Linux for profit.
But this is after we didn't have a lot of this technology. These people, a whole different time period. I don't think it's going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. If you try to zoom out and you see it for decades worth of influence with AI, like at this hellscape that they're trying to show, we're not going to have as many innovators be born like that. You're just not. Like, they're going to be more interested in entertainment. It's going to be all just kind of washed out. Did they really believe that we're going to be able to create Einsteins from that kind of society is what I'm trying to get at?
Maybe people today can't realize their creative potential because they're busy earning a living. Free them from that, and you might get a higher level of innovation.
Sure, freedom with the money wise, but if you also have all the other freedoms that you could just do what you want, do you think they're going to choose to do that? A lot of our best inventors and our best, thinkers, they went through trials. They went through a lot. A lot of them went through traumas. I do not believe that kind of future society is going to create Einsteins. You might be lucky and get a couple, but I think it's going to freaking wash out. Most people are going to be more worried about sitting there watching stuff and letting robots wipe their ass for them,
This is a utopian vision that is too good to last. If we truly have post-scarcity abundance and intelligence too cheap to meter, what prevents someone from creating an artificial superintelligence with their endlessly abundant resources? We're still left with the problem of how to stop a superintelligent AI from taking over. Maybe by using the gatekeeper we previously discussed. These galaxy-brained Level 3 futures try to imagine a stable cooperation between humans and AIs, and every single one of them has a fatal flaw. The power asymmetries will become too extreme. It's not a stable equilibrium where humans preserve their power. We're now descending into the darkest part of the iceberg. Remember when I said extinction wasn't rated as the worst outcome when Professor Techmark surveyed people? The scenario people feared most was being kept alive by superintelligent machines. Captive and studied, like animals in a zoo. This is that future. A superintelligent AI keeps humans around, not because it cares about our well-being. Maybe it wants to study you, and we're cheap to keep alive. Or maybe we're useful for something. And if you want to see just how dystopian this future could be, look at what we do with species that are useful to us. What I'm showing you here is 100% real. Humans figured out that a great way to detect explosives in airports was to train honeybees for the job.
Welcome to the Honeybee College for Explosive Detection.
I've never heard of this.
So we suck them out of their homes, trap their little bodies in machines, and use Pavlovian conditioning to train them to detect the chemicals that are used in explosives. Rows and rows of bees live their entire lives imprisoned in these devices because we find them useful. Look at them. Trapped in harnesses, sucked through tubes, conditioned and monitored and used because a more intelligent species found them useful.
Eve to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you can...
Now imagine that's us. This is much worse than the other AI dictators we discussed. It's a benevolent dictator without the benevolence. And the AI might not even be doing this because it's evil. This is what our future could look like if we try to align a superintelligent AI to our values and fail. A poorly designed AI tasked with keeping humans safe and happy might confine us to a happiness factory. VR headsets and drugs. Forever. There are AGI outcomes worse than death. What it does today with art, it could do tomorrow with flesh. Future AGI could keep you alive and living in this state. So how do we prevent this?
What was that?
Enter our last two futures. Option 1. Destroy the technology. What if humanity said, forget AI, let's go back to simpler times. It sounds peaceful, it sounds safe, But there's actually a dark secret about how we actually get there. In Dune, humans launched the Butlerian Jihad. They rose up, destroyed every AI in the universe, and made it illegal to ever build thinking machines again under penalty of death. That was science fiction, but some people are seriously calling for this in the real world right now. Max Tegmark imagines a scenario where a massive propaganda campaign romanticizes the simple farming life. Back to the land, reject modernity, embrace tradition. There's something appealing about this in a dark way. It buys humanity more time without AI risk. It avoids any of the other dystopian futures we've discussed. But it can't last forever. Even if we revert to medieval levels of technology, we know from human history that it's possible for humans to climb out of those conditions and invent modern technology. And there's another dark side to this. You can't reach this world voluntarily.
Yeah.
Game theory makes unilateral disarmament impossible.
The Amish are looking more and more appealing, aren't they?
If one country gives up technology, well, others keep developing it. The country that keeps developing wins. They have the weapons, they have the surveillance, they have the AI. You can't opt out unless everyone opts out. If this world arrives, Tegmark thinks it's more likely to happen in a different way. For example, a human-created pandemic kills everyone who knows how to build science and technology, and there's a violent teardown of factories, cities, and all infrastructure. Because in a world with 8 billion humans, there will always be holdouts. Someone has to force the transition. Someone has to kill the scientists. Someone has to destroy the infrastructure. There's no peaceful path to an Amish world. Which brings us to the final future. What if we used technology to prevent more technology? Tegmark compares this future to 1984. Superintelligence is prevented not by an AI, but a human-led Orwellian global surveillance state. If you can't trust AI to save us from AI, maybe the only option is humans watching humans. Forever. The technology for this sort of thing already exists. Current tech can feasibly track every phone call, email, search query, and every credit card transaction. Smartphones are microphones and cameras in everyone's pocket. Security cameras with facial recognition are everywhere. And all of this works with current machine learning. No futuristic superintelligent AI required. Prisons are already using AI models to monitor phone calls in prison to predict when crimes are being contemplated, which is technology straight out of Minority Report. Imagine this, but not just for prisoners. Every conversation and every thought is monitored like this. Now imagine this surveillance technology supercharged with AI. Billionaire Larry Ellison talks excitedly about a vast AI-fueled surveillance system to ensure citizens will be on their best behavior. Or as Yuval Harari put it,
now, for the first time in history, it is technically possible to annihilate privacy. If you think about authoritarian regimes, throughout history they always wanted to monitor their citizens around the clock. But this was technically impossible. Even in the Soviet Union, you have 200 million Soviet citizens. You can't follow them all the time because the KGB didn't have 200 million agents. And even if the KGB somehow got 200 million agents, that's not enough. Because, in the Soviet Union, it's still basically paper bureaucracy. If a secret agent followed you around 24 hours a day, at the end of the day, they write a paper report about you and send it to KGB headquarters in Moscow. So imagine, every day, KGB headquarters is flooded with 200 million paper reports. Now, to be useful for anything, somebody needs to read and analyze them. They can't do it, they don't have the analysts. Therefore, even in the Soviet Union, some level of privacy was still the default.
At least you're showing games.
and remember, you have 2 eyes and ears. AIs will have billions of eyes and ears. Every phone, microphone, and camera, every webcam, every surveillance camera, you will be watched. Could a less Orwellian version of this work? Maybe we don't monitor everything, but just monitor advanced AI? Some people think so. In their new book, If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies, Why Superhuman AI Would Kill Us All, researchers at the Machine Intelligence Research Institute are proposing that we monitor advanced AI like we monitor nuclear weapons. Reminder, we can do international coordination, like keep an eye on $100 million and up compute clusters, without creating a dystopian Orwellian global surveillance totalitarian regime. Actually, fun fact, you're already living in a global surveillance regime for loads of things, like nukes and bioweapons. But when people say global surveillance regime, they imply every aspect of life is surveilled. Not keep an eye on enriched uranium, a thing most people agree is good. We should worry about Orwellian dystopias, but countries coordinate all the time on all kinds of things. And you're probably glad they monitor stuff lunatics need to create super Ebola. Safety is an achievement. Humanity didn't get here by driving a car without brakes. We need gas and brakes. We want to reach the stars too, but we'll never get there if we go too fast and crash on the way. I don't want powerful AI to be forbidden, but it should be heavily regulated. Not something you can build in your Midwestern garage or in North Korea. International treaties with strict enforcement and inspections, as we do with nukes. So if you build a rogue data center, people will know. Consequences for violations. We already did this with nuclear weapons. We haven't eliminated nukes, but we have prevented their proliferation to just 9 countries. Back then, people thought this would be impossible. Surely every country would have nukes. Perhaps even thousands of corporations. Maybe even millions of people. But no, just 9 countries. And nobody has died from a nuke in 80 years. Could we do the same with AI? Maybe, maybe not. Over
It's a whole different beast.
time, AI will get
Did these bombs think for themselves? Did these bombs... No, they fucking didn't. I just, some of y'all may have seen my short where, Ukraine used a fully autonomous drone and they set it on something called Terminator mode. And while it was on that mode, it chose on its own to find, and it did, Russian soldiers, and it targeted them and killed them. You cannot compare the two. I don't understand why they're drawing this line. I kind of do to a certain extent, but it's just so far apart. You can just... completely different ball game, dude. The bomb wasn't thinking about bombing this thing before it did. It just was sent.
cheaper and cheaper to build. GPUs are harder to control than enriched uranium, but it would slow down AI. It would buy us time to figure out what to do. Okay, that's all 12. Let me know in the comments which of these you think is most likely, which one we should steer toward.
Alarm bells over the artificial intelligence are deafening, and they are loudest from the developers who designed it. The scientists and experts have called on the world to act, declaring AI an existential threat to humanity on a par with the risk of nuclear war.
By the way, we don't get to not choose. If we don't want that future, we have to pick a better one. Otherwise, we could wake up one day in a world where superintelligent AI has taken over. A scenario we go through step by step in this video about how an AI escapes the lab. Hey, I'm Drew, and I really loved making this one for you guys. Thank you.
That was really good. To me, that was a really good put together.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44.
Them AI ads, man, they really trying. They trying, man. There's a couple of points that nobody was here to hear. And he made a very good point when it came to the Cold War. One of the reasons why it didn't happen is because there was a scientist, I forget his name right now, but he developed basically the Iron Dome. Okay, basically. It tracked incoming missiles, okay? It told him that there was missiles coming in from the United States, but instinctually he just knew that his system was malfunctioning. So he ignored it, and thank God he was right in that he chose not to act on it. If you think about if an AI was in the same scenario, it's just going to look at the logical course of actions to take. It sees missiles coming in. What do you think is going to happen? It's going to go on the defensive. It's going to send missiles back. Okay? Thank God there was a human there, not an AI. That's just something to, think about. He also made the point that we'd already developed 63,000 nuclear warheads before we realized that a fallout could kill everybody, mass extinction. So just think about that too, and apply it to how far we're coming with AI. I think I may watch one more thing. One more video, and then I'm gonna get on out of here. It's just too quiet. Ain't nobody here. Let's see. Should we do somebody talking to it for 2,000 hours? Or should we do why? I kind of want to do this one, but it looks kind of silly. Let's just give it a chance, I guess.
Hi, I'm Josh. The alarm bells are ringing, and not for the reason you think. Several top researchers are quitting big tech. On today's episode of the Infographics Show, we'll uncover why Silicon Valley insiders are starting to panic over AI. Back in 2017.
I don't know if I like this one. There's something I realized when I was thinking about this last night is that these guys they got it down to a science. They do, because they have the richest, the most wealthy among us bought in. When you think about some of these wealthy people, they have been disconnected from just regular life for generations for some of these family lines, and they're aware of this. So what they did is they got with the most wealthy of our community and made sure that they bought in to this. So they had the money, they had the influence. And of course, between them just being straight up bored with living because they're so disconnected from things, and some of them being so terrified of death that they really believe that they can download their very essence, their spirit, into a computer. This is how they've got them to buy in. They're bored and they're terrified of death. That's what it comes down to. And if you think that zeros and ones, a representation of you, is actually you escaping death and you're going to live in the computer somehow, I'm sorry to tell you that's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It still will only be a representation of life. It's not going to be you. It's not. Think about it like this. Even if it had the closest, even if it's 100% you, that second it caught you, right, and downloaded your essence, it's still, anything beyond that is going to be a trajectory of its predictions of what you would do. It's not going to be you. It's going to be what it guesses you would do in each scenario. So I'm sorry to tell you that there's no way to escape it. There's not. You're not going to escape the end of your life by downloading your memories into a computer. It's just not going to happen. But a lot of these people actually believe that there's no other course of action. And in fact, it seems like they feel it's an obligation of humans that we need to go down this route. An obligation for the greater good of the universe. Which is just it's insane. It's insane to me. Can we be mean to AI? Quantum computing and the end of the internet as we know it.
The Millers love the sound of earning and saving money on Vinted. Don't wear it, sell it.
Google, Microsoft, IBM, the biggest tech companies in the world are all quietly preparing for a single threat, one that could crumble the entire digital infrastructure that we've built for the past 70 years. Right now, the entire planet is dependent on a digital system whose foundations are about to collapse. That's every secret, every transaction, every private message compromised. They all rely on a mathematical assumption that is close to its breaking point. The Q day, as experts call it, is the day when quantum computers are finally unleashed and they break every form of encryption that we have ever developed. The day when digital computing comes to an abrupt end. So, is this threat even real? And if it is there anything that we can do to stop it? To understand why quantum computing is such a big deal, you first have to understand what every computer you've ever used is built on. From the phone in your hand to the computers guiding spacecraft through deep space, everything runs on binary. At the lowest level, it's just ones and O's, tiny electrical switches being turned on and off billions of times per second. Every message you send, every video you watch, every AI model you interact with is ultimately reduced to long strings of these very simple bits. Classical computers are incredibly powerful, but they all share this same limitation. Each bit can only ever be one thing at a time. You're either a 1 or a 0, and never both. Quantum computers break that rule. Instead of bits, they use qubits. And thanks to the strange laws of quantum physics, a qubit doesn't have to choose between being a 1 or a 0. It can exist in a superposition of both at the same time. And that's not a metaphor or an analogy, that is literal. That one difference changes everything, because when you scale this up, a classical computer has to check possibilities one by one. Is this 1 or 0? Okay, move on. Is this 1 or 0? Each one at a time. A quantum computer can explore many possibilities all at once. It's not just faster in the normal sense, it's like it's working in a higher dimension. And this is exactly why classical computers can't simply catch up. No matter how fast you make them, they are still bound to binary. They're still flipping switches between 1 and 0 step by step. Quantum computers aren't doing that at all. They're leveraging the fundamental rules of reality itself to process information in parallel across a vast space of possibilities. Which means there are certain problems, especially ones involving massive combinations or complex cryptography, that classical computers would take thousands, even millions of years to solve, but a sufficiently powerful quantum computer could solve in minutes. Unfortunately for our entire digital world, complex cryptography is what current encryption algorithms depend on. Modern encryption, which is the thing that protects your information from getting accessed by anyone on the open internet, is built on complexity and not secrecy. The idea is pretty simple. If someone knows how your encryption works, breaking it would require testing an astronomical number of possibilities. For a classical computer, that could take thousands or even millions of years, but for a sufficiently advanced quantum computer, it could take hours or even minutes. Q-Day is the hypothetical day that quantum computers will be powerful enough to do just that. When that day comes, you can say goodbye to private messaging, secure
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
or online banking, and digital privacy of any kind. Now, none of this is new. We have been building quantum computers for the past 2 decades, in fact, and for most of that time, cryptographers...
Did y'all know that this happened years ago? But, son of a... Google's first quantum computer that it made actually decided on its own to make another quantum computer that was smaller. It had a quantum baby. Smaller and more powerful than it. And now they work in tangent and talk to each other and work things out together. I'm gonna go clean my freaking hot sauce lid.
believed we still had at least another decade before machines powerful enough to break encryption would exist. But that timeline may have just collapsed. In December 2024, Google unveiled something called the Willow chip, a 105-qubit quantum processor that marked a major leap forward, not just in scale, but also in stability. You see, the biggest hurdle in quantum computing is errors. Qubits are incredibly incredibly fragile. The moment they interact with their environment, they lose their quantum state. This is called decoherence, and it's been the single biggest obstacle to building useful quantum computers. For years, adding more qubits.
These are website names that are still somehow available. So for Australian non-believers, AustraliaIsn'tReal.org and Australia
just meant adding more noise, more instability, and more failure. But Willow seems to have changed that. Google demonstrated a benchmark designed to test whether a quantum system could reduce errors as it scales. The task itself wasn't practical. It's known as a random circuit sampling problem, essentially generating and verifying patterns that are extremely hard for classical computers to simulate. It's by no means useful in the real world, but it's one of the best ways to measure raw quantum capability. And Willow didn't just pass the test, it showed that as the system grew larger, error rate actually improved. And that's something we have never seen before. It means that we may have crossed a threshold from experimental machines that barely work to systems that can start becoming reliable. The benchmark took Willow 5 minutes. A classical supercomputer attempting the same calculation would take around 10 septillion years. That's 720 quadrillion times longer than the age of the universe. Naturally, this set off alarm bells across the tech world. The kind of breakthrough many hoped was still far, far away suddenly felt very, very close. In February 2025, Microsoft made its own move. The Majorana 1, a different bet on the same problem that Google was trying to solve. Microsoft's chip uses a design called topological qubits. They argue that these new qubits are inherently more stable than the ones used by Google. This is significant for one big reason. The industry is now beginning to compete on its architectures, and that means better designed quantum computers. Now, IBM has publicly committed to a roadmap for a more efficient kind of quantum system by the end of the decade. Fault-tolerant quantum systems. These are systems that produce concrete results without being obstructed by errors. And the race in this process isn't just American. China is taking this even more seriously than the West has acknowledged. With $15 billion in quantum research and its own milestones, there's a geopolitical race brewing for the future of computing. AI poses a present risk.
And most of civilization is just simply too exhausted and busy to even notice it.
But it doesn't break encryption. But quantum? It's the only technology whose progress is simultaneously creating an existential threat to all the digital infrastructure that we have. Now that companies are actually scaling quantum investments, there's still one thing lingering on everyone's minds. What exactly is being built? And what will it break first? Over the past 70 years, we've built our society on a specific kind of math. Trust, money, privacy, and power are tied to something that is on the brink of being dismantled. Yet the entire public doesn't even seem to know that this terrifying future is a possibility. If we can't even admit that the problem exists, how do we begin to confront it? Okay, so we've been talking a lot about how quantum computers are going to break encryption, but why is it? What exactly is the math that our current encryption system is designed on? So imagine you are in charge of the biggest intelligence agency on Earth. Congratulations for your promotion. This means you get a virtually unlimited budget, unlimited time, and every supercomputer you can get your hands on. Today, you are tasked with but one mission: read one encrypted message. You're not going to steal it, you cannot intercept it. Your organization's duty actually sounds a lot simpler than a typical intelligence mission. So, how do you go about reading it? Now, here's what you are really up against. Say the message is protected by RSA-2048, the standard encryption method securing nearly every bank, every government communication, and every encrypted connection on the internet today. Underneath its complex exterior, it works on a single equation, a number that is hundreds of digits long and the product of two enormous prime numbers. Here's how it works. If I were to ask you to multiply two large prime numbers like 1007 and then 1009. You can pull out a calculator and get 1,016,063. But if I just gave you that same 1,016,063 and asked you which two prime numbers I multiplied to get it, well, that is going to take a lot of work. RSA-2048 takes the concept to a frustratingly high ceiling. Imagine prime numbers hundreds of digits long. Even the world's fastest supercomputers would take millions of years to configure the original primes that you need to multiply to get that impossibly long number. The number of combinations to test is larger than the number of atoms in the observable universe. So even if your intelligence agency has access to every classical supercomputer on Earth and the whole world banded together to ensure that this one message is read, by the most generous estimates, it'll still take about 1 trillion years to figure out. Your fancy agency would need to outlive the sun vaporizing the Earth roughly 40,000 times over. This isn't just some thought experiment, it is the literal security guarantee protecting your bank account right now. Now, give that same problem to a quantum computer running Shor's algorithm, and it finishes it in hours.
Albion Online is a sandbox MMORPG in which you write your own story.
In 1994, a mathematician named Peter Shor proved something the cryptography world did not want to be true. He developed a mathematical formula designed to run on a quantum computer. His formula directly targeted the impossible task of finding the two prime numbers from the longer number using something called superposition. If you've been watching our channel, then you're probably already familiar with the concept of quantum superposition. We've been doing a series on quantum physics and it's been really fun. I'll leave the link to the playlist at the end of this video. But just a quick refresher, quantum superposition is the idea that a quantum particle can exist in multiple states at the same time. So a classical bit is a 1 or a 0. A qubit, however, can be 1, 0, or any combination of both simultaneously. Not because we don't know its state, but because it genuinely holds multiple possibilities at once. It's only when you measure it that it collapses into a single value. And this is where Shor's insight becomes a little troublesome. Factoring large numbers, the backbone of modern encryption, is hard for classical computers because they have to try possibilities one by one. Even the fastest supercomputers would take an absurd amount of time to break something like RSA encryption. But a quantum computer running Shor's algorithm doesn't approach the problem the same way. Instead of checking each possibility step by step, it uses superposition to explore many possible factors all at once. Then through another quantum effect called interference, it amplifies the correct answers and cancels out the wrong ones. Shor's algorithm has carried serious weight for 30 years now, but there has been one thing that has been holding it back. For the algorithm to actually work, it'll need a quantum computer with millions of stable qubits to break real-world encryption like RSA. Now, the Willow chip that was unveiled 2 years ago has just 105, so we are still in the safe zone for now. But still, the wall between us and the break is engineering, not physics or math. The math is beatable, and the physics is achievable. The day a quantum computer becomes powerful enough and stable enough to run Shor's algorithm against real-world encryption. It's the ultimate event for cybersecurity, as the geopolitical consequences will be instantaneous and have far-reaching ramifications. According to the Global Risk Institute's annual quantum threat timeline, Q-Day is going to arrive within 10 to 15 years. The US's NIST is operating on the assumption that a migration to post-quantum encryption must happen before 2035. National security agencies across France, UK, Germany, and other territories have also launched guidelines around it. The near-term effects are getting warmer and the collapse feels imminent. Every signed software update becomes forgeable, so your smartphone, your PC, your Mac updates can all be malware, and yet it can appear as if they came from Apple or Microsoft. Every website you visit becomes vulnerable. The comfort of seeing HTTPS in an address bar is gone, and your connections become readable to anyone looking to fish for your information information or your online activity. And you may be wondering, how is any of this new? Here's the scariest part. The hacks that happen today require some level of social engineering and bait, where hackers attempt to disguise fake links and lead you to click on the wrong things. Every hack that happens today requires somebody along the chain to make a mistake. It's like forgetting to lock your house when you leave. On Q-Day, it'll be like everyone in the entire world instantly having access to a master key that opens all locks on Earth. Even if you follow the strongest conventional guidelines in the world, your data becomes trivial information for anyone running a capable quantum computer. Take cryptocurrency as an example. It's built on cryptography. It's right there in the name. And cryptography is exactly what quantum computers are designed to break. But the real danger isn't just what happens on Q-Day. It's what's already happening now. There are people quietly collecting encrypted data, old transactions, dormant wallets, entire blockchains, not because they can read it today, but because they believe they will be able to read it in the future. It's called Harvest Now, Decrypt Later. And although crypto is one of the biggest targets, this Harvest Now, Decrypt Later mantra is currently being used by bad actors to collect every kind of data they can about you. Everything from your name, your location, your employment status, email addresses, everything. They use all of this information to create a detailed profile of who you are. Today, this profile is sold to the highest bidder to target you with ads. On Q-Day, whatever guardrails...
Sorry, I think I've yelled like 4 times during this, but it's just so freaking frustrating.
Currently exist will be easily bypassed to do far more dangerous things. This is why I specifically reached out to Incogni to sponsor today's episode. The danger of having your data exposed on the internet becomes far greater once Q-Day arrives, but you shouldn't wait until then to do something about it. Incogni is a service that removes your personal information from the places that you never knew that it was being stored in. Data brokers, people search sites, and directories that treat your identity like a product. By law, these companies have to delete your data if you ask, but doing that yourself can take weeks, months, or even years. Incogni handles it automatically, continuously sending removal requests and working in the background to keep your data out of reach. And they've just introduced a new feature called custom removals. % off and
It's an AI.
Whoa. What's that? I just built a budgeting app with Base 44. Guys, Nina just built an app.
an annual plan. Now back to our story. Many older wallets, especially ones using outdated cryptographic standards, are essentially ticking time bombs. The moment quantum computers become powerful enough, those protections disappear. These private keys can be derived, wallets can be opened, and it doesn't stop there. Even transactions happening in real time could become vulnerable, which creates a terrifying scenario. So, imagine Q-Day hits, the news spreads instantly. People panic. They rush to move or sell their crypto before it's too late. But that reaction is exactly what attackers are waiting for, because initiating a transaction exposes information, and in a quantum world, that brief window could be enough. So the act of trying to escape the trap becomes the trap. A mass sell-off wouldn't just crash the market, it would turn into a feeding frenzy where every transaction is intercepted and every move exploited, like fish sprinting straight into a net that they can't see. Think about VPNs, data protections, cloud storage, company info, social security, all of that is within reach on Q-Day. The worst part is that Q-Day isn't a system failure. Companies will attempt to blame engineers and make a fall guy for its aftermath, but the bitter truth is that the math was beaten, and the assumption we've held for 70 years just simply stopped being true. The US's NIST has created its post-quantum standards, but actually getting people to follow them, that is another fight entirely. Migrating to these new standards means replacing the encryption that the entire internet sits on. It's like trying to replace a house's foundation without evacuating its residents. Most of the systems that need to migrate aren't even aware that the foundation is shaky, and that is a serious problem. Today, the world is happily entertaining AI debates on stages, flaunting CEOs that present themselves as visionaries of the future, but backstage, the cryptographic transition is a catastrophic headache that's driving classified briefings and conferences that most of the public has never heard of. There are institutions quietly preparing for what is coming, but the rest of us are going to be feeling the ripple effects of decisions that we never took part in. In 1989, after the collapse of East Germany, citizens formed the Stasi regime's headquarters and found 111 kilometers worth of paper files inside. Surveillance records on roughly 1 in 3 East Germans. For a population of 16 million, this was no trivial discovery. Conversations were transcribed, movements were logged, patterns of behavior were mapped out. Friends and family of citizens were exposed as informants. Throughout their regime, the Stasi maintained one of the most invasive surveillance states in modern human history, and yet they were limited. This was paper, typewriters, physical labor, and maintenance. All of these actions were necessary to keep their records. Surveillance had a hefty budget and a visible ceiling. There was a natural limit to how much of the state's population they could watch at any given time. Today, major intelligence agencies generate more surveillance data in a single day than the Stasi collected over its entire 40-year existence. But at least, for now, your most private digital information still has a line of defense, and that is encryption. Even governments run into it. Apple, for example, has repeatedly refused to build a backdoor into its encryption, even under pressure from law enforcement and terrorism-related investigations. Their position has been consistent. If you build a backdoor for one case, you create a vulnerability for everyone. So for now, there are limits, and these are hard limits. Even the most powerful institutions in the world can't simply access whatever they want. But that balance only exists because encryption works. Quantum computing threatens to remove that barrier entirely. Because once governments have access to sufficiently powerful quantum machines, they don't need the cooperation from Apple. They don't need backdoors, they don't need permission, they can just unlock it. At that point, encryption stops being a safeguard and becomes a delay, a temporary obstacle between data being captured and data being read. And remember, a lot of that data is already being collected, stored, and archived, just waiting. So the real question isn't just what governments will be able to see in the future, it's what they've already seen, but simply haven't been able to read yet. It's like Schrodinger's data, which is very fitting for a discussion about quantum computers, if I do say so myself. Cryptography protects journalists, lawyers, whistleblowers, and ordinary people from authoritarian states. In the same breath, it also lets those same states keep their own secrets perfectly. Math never picks sides. Q-Day is the hammer that breaks both sides simultaneously. Whether that's a loss or a correction of an error, the institutions building the future are yet to decide, but neither has anyone else. The internet works because every system has good enough reasons to trust across borders. Your laptop in Sao Paulo can verify that a server in Hong Kong is who it claims to be because they both speak the same cryptographic language. That feature is what made the global internet possible. Post-quantum cryptography flips our expectations in a messy way. Not everyone will migrate to safer quantum-proof designs. Instead, it will be a slow process that knocks global economics off balance. Major banks will migrate first. EU government systems will follow, and then we'll see the same happen to wealthy nations and their critical infrastructure. Later on, smaller institutions...
Want to strengthen your math and computer science skills? Try Brilliant. It's an effective and fun way to learn, built for the way your mind actually works. Every lesson is visual and interactive, so concepts make sense. You can touch them, move them, transform them.
Developing economies and legacy systems may attempt to migrate, but that might be much later, if ever. When systems migrate at radically different speeds, the trust between them shatters. The single global internet we've taken for granted for 30 years will fragment into tiers. Today, when you buy something online from another country, the transaction happens in seconds. Your laptop talks to Amazon, Amazon talks to MasterCard, MasterCard talks to your bank talks to a settlement system, a device on the other side of the world ships towards you. Dozens of digital handshakes across multiple borders, all happening so fast that you don't notice them. And every one of those handshakes works because every system in that chain speaks the same cryptographic language. In a new post-quantum internet, those systems don't all migrate at the same time. Some networks become quantum safe and others stay exposed. When two systems try to connect, the security of the connection is only as strong as the weakest party in the chain. So your bank may have migrated, your bank's counterpart in another country may not have. The settlement system between them may be running on borrowed time. The device shipping to you may pull software updates from a network that's behind the curve. What you experience is not necessarily a more expensive transaction, it's a more fragmented one. Some routes work, others slow down, some break entirely. A purchase that moves seamlessly across 5 jurisdictions today isn't going to be the same. In the future, it has to find a path where every link in the chain has caught up with the same cryptographic standard. This is the issue. Today's interconnected world works largely because we can all understand the foundations built on binary. When quantum genuinely becomes a thing, those foundations stop being shared and the world stops working the way we've taken for granted. It's all beyond speculation at this point. Back in the day, cryptographic transitions reflected a similar pattern. When digital security moved to AES and then SHA-256, it took many years and lots of legacy systems were exposed. Currently, the necessary migration to post-quantum protection is being described as the largest infrastructure project in the history of the internet. The internet has worked the same everywhere for the past 3 decades, and that uniformity is what made it so strong. But that is about to end. What comes next isn't the death of the internet, no, it's the death of the old internet. A post-digital age is guaranteed to come, and it will look like a tiered network, secured within its own self-sustained walls. Everything outside of these walls will feel like a dangerous wasteland. Whatever happens in that future won't be the hopeful idea we briefly believed the internet was. Everything covered so far is what quantum breaks. But they're not just engines of destruction. It's not all gloom and doom. They're also capable of some really powerful and awesome things. The math behind the digital age, binary, is actually incredibly good at a lot of things. It's super reliable, it's very precise, it's perfect for logic-based operations. That's why it powers everything from search engines and video streaming to financial systems and our modern AI. It excels at structured problems, step-by-step communications, and tasks where outcomes can be broken down into clear sequences. And binary is the reason that we have the internet. The reason we can simulate rockets, edit films, and build entire virtual worlds. It's not a limitation in most of the domains we live in today. But that same structure is also where it starts to break down. There are entire categories of problems that don't fit neatly into a step-by-step logic. Problems where the number of possibilities explodes so quickly that even the fastest classical computers hit a wall. Things like accurately simulating molecular interactions, understanding complex chemical reactions, or solving certain advanced physics problems. These aren't just hard problems, they scale in a way that makes them practically impossible for binary systems to handle in a meaningful time frame. And no matter how much we improve classical computers, faster processors, more memory, better architecture, we are still working within the same fundamental framework. Are you familiar with Moore's Law? If not, here's the simple version. It's the idea that the number of transistors on a chip doubles every couple of years, making computers exponentially more powerful over time. For decades, that trend held, but now it's starting to break. We've shrunk transistors to the point where they're only a few atoms wide. At that scale, electrons stop behaving like clean, predictable signals. They begin to tunnel, to blur, to exist in probabilities rather than certainties. The stability that classical computing depends on starts to break down at that level. In other words, we don't just run into an engineering problem. We ran into the limits of physics itself.
Tell Monday what you need. We're creating an agent and naming him Tony. Now let's give him context. I'm giving Tony access to the relevant boards, let's say brand, asset library, production board, and social initiatives. Now he has permission.
And that's where everything changes, because quantum computing isn't just a faster version of what we already have. It's what happens when we stop resisting those quantum effects and start using them instead. It's not a replacement for classical computing, and it's more of a leap beyond the boundaries that defined the digital age in the first place. Which means the real story isn't just what quantum breaks, it's what it unlocks too. In a post-digital world, we'll be stepping into entirely new categories of problems. Problems that classical computers were never going to solve, no matter how much time or power we threw at them. The cryptographic collapse we've been talking about is really just a side effect. It's a consequence of a much larger shift. Q-Day is the deadline. It's urgent, and it's disruptive, and it's very real, but it won't be the main event. Because beyond that one moment is where things are actually going to start getting really interesting. And one of the clearest examples is a field that's quietly been hitting a wall for years, a wall that most people didn't even realize exists. Designing new medicines sounds like something we should have mastered by now. We have supercomputers, massive biological data sets, and AI systems that can predict protein structures with remarkable accuracy. And yet, creating drugs is still slow, it's expensive and heavily dependent on trial and error. That's because, at its core, it is a quantum problem. Every molecule is governed by quantum mechanics. The way atoms bond, the way electrons interact, the way a drug binds to a target in the body. All of it depends on complex quantum behavior. To truly understand it, you need to simulate those interactions precisely. And classical computers can't do that at scale. The number of possible configurations grows so quickly that even our best systems are forced to approximate. So instead of knowing what will work, we make educated guesses, we test, we fail, and then we repeat that process over and over again. This is why big pharma industry giants like Roche, Pfizer, and AstraZeneca have all launched quantum computing programs. Google DeepMind's AlphaFold revolutionized protein structure prediction by using classical AI. Yet, the founders themselves have admitted that the next frontier will actually require quantum computing for molecular interactions. Today, our industrial civilization revolves around a small number of materials. This status quo has been considered good enough for the past century. Lithium-ion batteries power a lot of our energy, but their chemistry also hits a theoretical limit. Solar cells only convert a fraction of incoming light. All this time, we've been optimizing inside the constraints of the materials that we found, not the materials that we designed. Quantum genuinely gives us the ability to develop new materials at the molecular level and to build them fit for purpose instead of just finding them by accident. Currently, we have some examples of phenomena that we are aware could change our lives, yet we just don't have the right technology to make the changes stick. It's like capturing lightning in a bottle. For example, actually, there's a bacterial enzyme capable of trapping nitrogen from the atmosphere, and it could do this at room temperature without industrial input. The problem? We can't model it, because the molecule is too quantum mechanically complex. Microsoft's research division has published a quantum simulation of this enzyme as a target application for an eventual quantum computing future. When it's possible, we would revolutionize fertilizer production and reduce its effect on global energy supplies. We would be designing a new relationship with our physical world, one where we design materials from first principles instead of optimizing within the constraints of what we've happened to find. Quantum directly addresses a whole class of decisions in the modern world. So far, we've only been able to solve the problems we encounter in an approximate sense. Stuff like routing packages, allocating national budgets, and balancing loads and power grids. Approximate solutions cost the global economy enormous sums of money in waste, inefficiency, and missed allocations. Even with all that in mind, we have been doing a decent job. It's impressive. For certain types of optimization, quantum computing will provide solutions that have never been seriously considered prior. and the applications span industries. Today, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan are exploring quantum optimization for portfolio risks. Similarly, other companies from airlines to car manufacturers are looking to apply quantum research in their designs. Once we scale
EVE Online is a
to quantum, we'd be living in a world that runs on better math. Supply chains will route more efficiently, financial systems will allocate capital more precisely, power grids would light up the world without burning its resources completely. Most of these gains are invisible to consumers, but the final effect is a civilization that operates closer to its mathematical limits than what was possible in the digital age. Unlike what we have today with smartphones, laptops, and tablets, quantum hardware isn't going to be a commercialized experience for every citizen. There's no quantum laptop coming. These machines are too expensive, too fragile, and require cooling in temperatures colder than deep space. They'll also be operated by a tiny number of institutions. In a nutshell, access to quantum is limited due to physics, and this will be the biggest challenge. Today, there is some meaningful quantum computing in existence. If we zoom out, it's fair to say that quantum hardware is only present in a few dozen institutions globally. As for the rest of the world, and the billions of people, hundreds of governments, millions of companies, well, access to quantum would only be possible through intermediaries, middlemen that dictate how, when, and why everyone else can use it. At the peak of our digital age, we managed to put a supercomputer in the pockets of half the planet. In the post-digital age, at least at the start, the most powerful tool ever built will be behind the walls of a few dozen institutions. Thanks to all the doom and gloom of AI, a question at the forefront of everyone's mind when faced with quantum computing is, will this replace my job too? And it's a fair concern, but it's a lot deeper than what AI affects. Quantum's replacement is more targeted at institutions than anything else. Take pharmaceutical companies, for example. The ones with quantum access will completely outclass competitors without any access. It's the same with banks and governments. This displacement is at scale, so the reactions from governments and other large entities would be more of a concentrated effort to prevent it. With AI, your local representative doesn't care that you lost your coding job, but when quantum threatens the existence of a government itself, well, there's nothing more necessary than confronting the change together. Right now, the decisions being made are the
They don't give a crap, but when they need us, they're like, hey guys, pay attention to this.
following. Who funds quantum? Who controls the supply chain for the rare materials it requires? Who licenses the hardware? Who sets the standards? Who trains the workforce? All of these questions are being asked and answered in rooms most people will never enter, by people we will never see, with consequences that will outlive us all. For all of its flaws, the digital age was the ultimate democracy for technological power, but the post-digital age is being built differently, and who gets to build it is what determines the kind of civilization that we will get in the new age. The only question left is whether we are awake enough to shape this future too. You're standing in a doorway right now. Behind you is a room you've lived in for the past 70 years. Every smile, every fight, every love and heartbreak was witnessed by this room. Ahead of you is another room, one that isn't fully visible. From where you stand, you can feel a sense of hope, a genuine feeling that this new room is where you were always heading towards. But it's being built right now by people you don't know, with materials you don't understand. Living in this doorway means something specific for us. It means trusting systems whose foundations have an expiry date known as Q-Day, sending messages already being recorded by people waiting to read them later, watching your future being decided without your input. The room behind you is closing on its own. The room ahead of you is being built whether you step into it or not. For now, all you can do is exist in a state of superposition, not knowing whether to be excited or terrified about the future until you can observe it for yourself. And isn't that what quantum is all about? If you enjoyed this video, we've got an entire playlist of quantum physics videos we know you'd love. Click the video on screen to keep watching.
Alright, I'm probably going to do another stream. It's going to be just playing around with something I have called necrophonics. Alright. It's been real. It's been fun and terrifying. See y'all in the next one.